in wherever you are, and hopefully you feel good and comfortable and all the things. I'm here in New York in the airport, cubby child. It is all the things, just like being a school leader and possibly a teacher. Like you only got so much room to make the magic happen in all the ways that make sense. So I'm grateful that I got a couple of wonderful, phenomenal educators and humans who are in the space as well. Mr. Cherry joined, he and Ms. Hicks, joined me for this ride, honey. It was quite the journey. But I'm super excited to just give a little bit of a taste, a teaser about this brilliant work that happened on behalf of the entire community and with the entire community. This what we were able to accomplish and build was not possible if we all didn't come together in such a beautiful way. And so I'm excited to share this celebration of what we have been able to do together, how we have grown beyond our time at the Michael J. Perkins community. And I'm also gonna share, like, this is my first time trying to do a like book launch. So I don't know how all the studied, lauded educator book writers or authors have done this. Um but I'm gonna just do Craig Aaron's Martin to the degree I can, which is sharing some um sharing the why behind the book, sharing a little bit more of like what's inside of it. I got a little video that kind of walks through some things, so you'll get a teaser, some new stuff. And if folks feel like they want to join and actually share more, I will also, invite some of the folks who are in the room to also, come into the situation. So first and foremost, I am super grateful for the entire Michael J. Perkins community, the Greater Boston community, for trusting me enough that we went the journey together, that we actually were able to create such transformative experiences for young people and the adults who stood with them, their parents, each other as staff members and colleagues and peers, and also knowing that we did this for our communities that we serve. And I really wrote, like, I've been thinking about this book because I had a really great conversation with Dr. David Adams, who is the of good Lord, Urban Assembly. I had to figure that out. And we were sitting there doing some reflection on like our social emotional learning work that we had done at the Perkins, and how we integrated mindfulness, and we've done a lot of work around social justice and just trying to create spaces where young people can thrive, as well as the wonderful beautiful educators as well. And he said, like, Craig, why don't you walk me through, like, what was the magic, what was the recipe for this work? And as I talked about it, he was like, okay, let's write this down, let's write this down. And so before you knew it, we had this brilliant book that was starting to develop in regards to the Brave Leaders Playbook. First part of it is about leading with a humanizing heart and understanding. For me, I was in my 30s. Yeah, I was a young 30-some-year-old soul who had only been a classroom instructor, had been a principal intern twice. Knew that I wanted to have a school specifically for boys because I wanted to create spaces where boys could thrive in all the ways possible. Because I found in my experience there were just so many experiences that were traumatic for me. I wanted to actually create one that felt like, hey, I see you, we love you, and we want you in all of your tenaciousness in our community. But what I also own is that this was a very challenging, heart stretching experience for me, in being a fellow educator, but now being a school leader who had to share with other, like, walk the journey with other educators who had been at the school longer than I, who may have had more years of experience than I did, and that I had to prove to them that, one, I'm here and I love and adore each person who I got to work with and serve. That's who I didn't have all the answers, and I didn't know what I didn't know, that I had to trust that there were other elders in the space, like Leslie Gant, who was my work wife and principal at the Tynan Elementary, Dr. Rashid Meadows, who was my first academic superintendent, Dr. Carol Johnson, who was a superintendent at the time, who hired me and said, hired me, basically told me at a parent university meeting, Craig, I know who you are and I know what you do. I've been watching you out in these streets. And I know that you care about the community and you care about our kids and our families and our educators. And you are someone who I think could be right for this role. And I didn't know that I knew that I was joining a community that loved young people. I knew that. But what I could not figure out in the beginning was, well, how do I prove to the adults I'm standing with that I am going to humanize them? I'm going to love y'all. I hope you love me back. And there were some moments where it was really interesting. But we all centered on the young people we served, and great outcomes came about in 6 years. We found ourselves moving from almost state takeover or almost district takeover to being a school community where we didn't have an entire team from the district or the state coming in every day and sitting in our building and monitoring what we were doing. We were able to figure a lot out through hard work, through innovation, through failing forward, and a lot of trusting work, even in the tough times and the tense times. And so I call all of that brave love. And so knowing that if I'm to be honest about like what this really came down to for me is how I define brave love. It's I called it a compass that I carry in every story, in every strategy. It created a space for not only loving people forward, even when they didn't always appear lovable, but also creating a space for repair because I had a community that was hurting and had a lot of folks who were up against the wall, were disenfranchised by the systems that exist and persist, that not everyone felt best served, not seen, not heard, and that I also had to be transparent enough and open my heart, my mind up to also share this as not just a gesture, but also knowing that I had to make some deep ethical choices about what I valued and what I would protect in our community in order for us to move forward. And so that brave love led to not only sitting with young people and teaching classes and taking over classes and doing all the things, but it also meant that I had a great opportunity. All right, for people watching me on the live, maybe my good friend joining. Um, okay. All right, so yeah, because I see a good friend of mine, who joined Mr. Tony Lewis, good friend for all the years. He has seen all the things behind the scenes, honey. He know. Mm. So, oh, look at that, Trillane coming. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna show a video of my like giving you a teaser to what this book will bring, and just I will also open it up for folks who are in the space who might want to share anything you want to share, because for those who were at the Perkins or near the Perkins or in this season, if you wanted to share just a little bit more about your experience, and then I welcome it, but you don't have to do so. But I also want to make sure that there's a great invitation to do that. And yeah, all the things. Ah, good Lord. It is so good to see people who I love and adore in the room. So here we go. I'm going to share a teaser of this book so everybody can see it.
Worst day scenario. You're leading a school that is tired. Test scores matter. Budgets matter. Politics matter. But what really matters? Whether people feel safe enough to stay whether children believe they belong, whether adults believe this place is worth their best. This is Brave Leaders Playbook, and it begins with one idea: brave love. Not soft love, not sentimental love. Brave love is disciplined care. It is the courage to hold high expectations while protecting human dignity. It is telling the truth without tearing people down. The trust ledger. Every school runs on a ledger. Every interaction is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Public correction without context, withdrawal. Listening before reacting, deposit. Repairing harm, deposit. Neutrality in moments of injustice, withdrawal. You cannot withdraw excellence from an empty account of trust. Brave leaders make deposits, especially when no one is clapping. Data for dignity. Data matters, but not just the numbers. Quantitative data tells you what is happening. Qualitative data tells you why. Suspension rates, climate surveys, attendance trends, but also student voice, family stories, teacher reflections. Brave leaders use data for dignity, not to shame, but to humanize, because every data point has a name. Parents as co-authors. Parents are not guests in your building. They are co-authors of the story. Brave leaders don't ask for trust they haven't earned. They invite families into policy design, discipline reform, hiring panels. Nothing about children without the people who love them most. Building your brave bench. You cannot lead alone. You build your brave bench. The sung heroes, the unsung heroes, the paraprofessionals, the culture carriers, the truth tellers. Collision is inevitable, but brave leaders move teams from collision to convergence through courageous dialogue, through shared purpose, through the 4 R's of repair. Recognize harm, reflect honestly, repair intentionally, recommit publicly. Conflict isn't failure. Unrepaired conflict is. The brave leader's compass. When the pressure rises, you need direction. The brave leader's compass asks, does this decision increase belonging? Does it protect dignity? Does it amplify voice? Does it build trust? If the answer is no, recalibrate. Here is the truth. Managing is easier. Humanizing is braver. But when you lead with brave love, when you fund the trust ledger, when you use data for dignity, when you build your brave bench, when you repair instead of retreat, you don't just raise scores, you raise people. And when people rise, schools thrive. This is the work. This is brave leadership. Get your book at braveleadersplaybook.com.
All right. So that's some of the magic. That's some of the things that I absolutely believe are part of it. But for those who choose to pick up this book, this is for anyone who is deciding that they want to lead in their communities in whatever ways makes best sense. And that some of the shifts that I talk about in this book is about how do we build a humanizing culture where everyone thrives, and what happens when you stay rooted to a relentless vision for this work, and how important that is. And then knowing that I could not do this work if I did not trust my educators, my teachers who I stood alongside, and that I demonstrated like a level of confidence in each of you who I've gotten to serve with, and know that you are gifted and you bring so much to the table, and that we would not we would not have accomplished what we had not accomplished if it weren't for you. And so I absolutely am, you know, deeply heartened by your contribution and your love for me and love for the work. and that you chose to do this work with me. And so I'm deeply grateful for you. And then I talk about, the Brave bench, because I had like a Mr. Mike who was our custodian, who was like hockey coach in the hallways when things were going crazy. We had like Mr. Rainey, who was not just a paraprofessional, but he was an art teacher. He was, sports, all the sports. But he was such a dear heart, and someone who could, for any young person who was just having a moment, he was somebody who, we could lean. I knew that I could trust and lean in with love, and just knowing that there were different folks who came through, like Miss Davis, who's our substitute teacher, and she brought her own energy, right? And just knowing that there was so many folks who were part of this good and great magic that I absolutely love and adore. And then ultimately, knowing that all of this is connected to this brave framework that I created, and knowing that when I look at all the work, I wanted everybody to feel like this is a space for you, and that belonging was important, that respect needed to be defined, and we need to get clear about what respect looked like and how do we honor each other's humanity, even in the tough moments. How do we advocate for the right things, and knowing that advocacy did not mean that someone had a particular issue with me per se. Sometimes they did. I knew that. But also recognizing that that advocacy meant like, hey, from my lived experience, from my professionalism, this is hurting someone. These systems are really making it harder for young people to be served, educators to be served, and that there were folks who advocated in a beautiful way. That I wanted, when we had flags in a hallway and photos and bulletin boards and all these, I wanted people to feel seen. But I also knew that I was not going to be the best leader if I wasn't visible. So you folks need to see me outside running around and out of breath, because my I'm thinking I can beat the kids at racing, or that I needed to sit in classrooms and understand what teachers were really going through without a clipboard, without an agenda, but to understand like what you all were facing with having young people who had a lot of needs, and also just having and holding deep empathy for the work, and knowing that every person I dealt with had human needs, and it wasn't just what was going on in the classroom. Stuff was going on outside, whether or not it was relationship stuff, it was kid stuff, whether or not it was I'm working a second or third job and trying to pay these bills, or I got a elder who was in my life who is going through Alzheimer's, stuff like that. We all had things going on outside, and like, how do we create those spaces in our community to humanize the next person? And so, for those who choose to pick this book up in any way, this was designed for me. Like, I needed this book when I started, and I needed to know how to navigate the complexity of work that feels bigger and greater than I. I didn't have all the answers. I might have looked like I did, but I didn't. And I needed to know. I needed certain tools, and these are the things that I've carried with me even to now, into the now. And so, just knowing that there's this and more, and as I continue to talk about this book and the lessons learned, I'll tell some additional stories about what was going on at the Michael J. Perkins School and beyond. Because, child, there are stories. Beautiful and interesting, stretching and all. But I will pause here to see. I got some folks who are absolutely in the space. Who, if you feel led and you want to speak, cool. If you don't, that's okay as well. But I did want to open it up for folks who wanted to, chat. So I'll unpin myself.
Right, I'm not much of a public speaker. I don't like to be put in the spotlight, but
Mm-hmm.
I did want to share that. I think we first encountered, I think, in 2014, if I believe I'm correctly. And one image that sticks to my mind is one time I was walking to the building and you were in a classroom. I can't remember whose classroom, but you were on your hands and knees, I think, organizing the library. And that's something that
Mm-hmm.
always stuck with me because that's something I've never seen before. And that made me realize like how you were willing to be like on the ground with us and kind of do that work. And that was like before school. before anybody got there. It's not like you were looking for attention, like it was something that you were genuinely doing. So like you were always in tune with what everybody was happening. I know when you and I met, like you would reference something in my classroom, like which like a lesson or something. I'm like, I know you didn't see that lesson, but it was an anchor chart or something that was in my classroom that you referenced. So always like in tune and knew what was happening. And what I really appreciate about you was in your leadership was seeing the good in everything, regardless of what the circumstances were.
Hmm.
In particular when it came around data. Sometimes I would have like a definite mindset about the data or whatever we're looking at, especially my classroom data.
Hmm.
And your perspective on the data was completely different. Like, how is he pulling this from what I'm seeing? And I felt like you just saw that regardless of what was happening, like it's not all bad and that there's good that's happening. And it's not so much the data, but the trajectory in which some students are going. And like I really appreciated that positive mindset. And for me, it was very easy to kind of follow your lead and follow your leadership. And I think you're very aware, like it's because of that experience that Perkins, like that led me to become a school leader as well. Even down to simply as having granola bars in my office. Like I remember, like you constantly having snacks, and like that's like a practice that I do to ensure like I am being welcoming, that I am inviting people into my space in hopes of once again connecting to that human side. But yeah, so like so once again thank you for your leadership and for that experience, and congratulations once again.
Oh, appreciate you, Mr. Cherry. One of the things that I could say a lot about you, as well as Miss Hicks, but what I could really share is it was um, it was an incredible experience to watch you, the way you moved in space, the way that you could command a classroom with charisma, but there was a firmness about how you moved, and there was nothing wrong with it. And how you and I both approached the work was like, we are definitely about the young people, but that level of like, no, I'm holding them accountable. We're going to sit and work through this. We're going to talk about it. And that you had such high expectations. And you never diminished a child, you never diminished a young person. And I also appreciated the fact that I know you have such great, like you have such high regard for your craft, that I did a lot of intentional work to reflect on like, well, how can I make sure I represent it in a way for you that lets you know that you are seen. And I appreciate that you notice that I notice, like, yeah, I'm gonna come in the classroom several times because there's some things you're doing, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. You got this little biscuit head soul who then created havoc in other spaces, and come to you and like can sit down and learn and engage, and then you found a way for them to begin to foster leadership in their own way. And so you had some of the hardest hitting young people and still found a way to hold them together. And even when the kids didn't always respond, you still didn't come away like, some of us will rage about like, I don't like get up really upset and incensed, and then question about whether or not you are the right. You was like, no, they're gonna come, like we gonna be here together. They gotta come back and see me and it's gonna be all right. I'm here, we here, and you kept working at it. And I've loved that about you, especially as I've seen you grow as a leader and as an educator in your own right. So I definitely would not be here if it weren't for you.
I just wanted to say, change is hard, and it was hard then, and it's hard now, but for anyone. But I think that you made a safe place. I'm sorry, I have a bird, and it's
It's okay. It's okay. The bird's all right. Hey.
happy. But I just feel that it was a very safe place. You were a safe place. You made it a safe place, and you really care. And I am very grateful for the time that I got to work under you and the friendships that we made. And I feel like I wasn't always confident in all my abilities, but I definitely, you were there to support me through some tough times.
Yeah.
And you never belittled me for that. And I really appreciate that. So I'm really congratulate you on this book and your journey.
Look, I can't wait for y'all to see yourselves in the book. So that I know I gotta send y'all the book. But Miss Hicks, what I will say is, and I told this to a group of educators I was working with I was in Cobb County last week, and I was actually talking about y'all. I was talking about both of you specifically. I have a level of respect and regard for early childhood in a way that if I had not been in your spaces, there's so much you showed me about the power of observation, about the level of patience that's necessary, that we have to give kids multiple seasons in order for them to show up. For you, Miss Hicks, it's not, it's always about you have a gift with like innovation and integrating arts and expression, and you've always had a love for bringing people together, and you've always wanted to make sure people felt seen and heard, and you went above and beyond countlessly in time and space to make sure that young people were supported, and as well as adults. And I learned, I took, I was in your class for a couple weeks. I would not have been able, I would never have had the, I would not have been comfortable doing it if I had not saw a master teacher in her own right doing that work and trusted me enough to give me feedback, share with me your journey, so that I never knew that I was going to be sitting in kindergarten, teaching kindergarten, but I know that what I learned from you from center-based play, the use of music and artistry and more, all are part of my toolkit because of what I saw and learned with you. And so I will never lose that. And I was talking to the folks in Cobb County about it, and they're like, okay, like, are you ever? I'm like, oh no, kindergarten is not my gift. That's not my genius. Oh no, 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 ma'am, no, sir. But the power of rotations and center based experiences, like I got that from you. I saw Mr. Cherry do his thing, and he had a little remix of how he was doing it, and I loved it. Oh yes, yes, yes. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, I'm tracking all the things. There's just so many different things going on in multiple places. But I appreciate y'all showing up for me, and I hope that um I'm looking forward to being able to share more stories and sharing more time and even being in space with you all in some way. I wanted to make this brief for now because I wanted, today's the release day. It's out, and I'm excited. I'm like, my goodness, so much of what I am really excited about with the work that we did together is going to show up in spaces, and I'm hopeful that people will be excited to hear about not just Mr. Cherry and Miss Hicks, but also Miss Murphy, who, Queen of Readathon and the Patriots and more. Or Miss Correa Gonzalez, who was our director of family engagement, and just knowing she's just a hearth and a force herself. Um, Talk about Miss Thomas running around, just she is just the road runner. She's just on the move all the time, but loving the fact that she did also care so deeply about so many of us, and she also was just a hearth for so many people and more. And so I appreciate you all, and I appreciate some of my good people who showed up. So two of my besties are on here. One looking like he is an airport controller, but I don't have to spotlight him. Mhm. Love you, Lewis, so much. Won't he do it? And then Cal, I don't know where Cal went. He went in the dark, but that's because he model sightings. We don't want too many Cal sightings because then all of a sudden people are all in his Instagram. Mhm. All right, loves. Well, I'm gonna close out the live. Are there questions that y'all have before we go? You know, Anybody can ask questions. I'm also looking at the lives because there's people on live, so I'm just like, let me see what people saying. Oh, thank you, Leroy. I appreciate you for supporting. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn, and I think that I don't know if it's on Facebook, but we'll see what happens. But thank you, thank you, thank you. So I hope that people Get the book. And there is a lot of really great stories here, but I think that there's some really great insights that can be helpful. I have love for everybody who is here in person with me right now, and I look forward to our journeys together because I'll definitely be inviting folks out to come hang out and relive some stories and more. All right. Well, I'm gonna send y'all love. Y'all take care of yourselves. I'm about to go get on a plane so I can get home.
Safe travel.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Y'all take care.